Hey everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining tonight. I appreciate it. I really do. Come on in and relax. Get your hot cup of tea or your hot cup of joe, and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit tonight about this. And I'm going to put it in the comments, so this way you guys know what we're talking about. Alright? Just give it a second here. Alright, we're going to just post this comment, and I'm going to pin the comment so you guys know. Hey John, how you doing, Druid? Pin this comment. There it is. Okay. Welcome everyone. Welcome. We're going to start in just a minute as more people join. And I wanted to talk to you tonight a little bit about what it means to be a Druid priest. Now, I don't necessarily like using the term Druid priest because I think it's like saying, chai tea. It really is the same thing. You're a priest, right? And I think that it's important that we distinguish that we are Druids, right? And one and the same are priests. I think that it is important to remember that all Druids were priests, and while they all had their specific vocation to that, their function, not their purpose, whether it be a judge or an educator, a philosopher, an archaeologist, scientist, alchemist, whatever the case was, magician, I believe that all of them were in the priesthood. I come to you as Druid Nicholas Declan, founder of the Druid Circle, founder of the Druid Order of Blest, B-L-E-S-T, Stone and Wood, and Druid University, along with Druid Living, a conservative pagan media outlet. So, what is it like to be a priest with OCAB? And many of you don't know, OCAB is the Druid Order of Blest, Stone and Wood. But what is it actually like to be a priest associated with the Druid Circle? And I say associated with because the Druid Circle doesn't have any priests. The Druid Circle is a religious organization that embodies the religious order, which is the Druid Order of Blest, Stone, and Wood, B-L-E-S-T. I come to you tonight as Druid Nicholas Declan, and I am a second degree Druid, and competent. So let's begin. So when we talk about the priesthood and what it means to be a member of the priesthood, especially for myself, because I am the founder of this order, and it's interesting because we had, we continue to have our numbers grow as far as the applications are concerned, but it is fairly difficult to get people to actually do the footwork needed to get to the next level, and trying to encourage people to do that is fairly difficult. And there's a lot of things that go hand in hand with being a Druid today, or a priest of the old religion for that matter. First of all, tonight I wanted to say that I was riding home, my mom and I said to her, I said, the chances of someone being called to the old religion, whether it be the Gothar or whether it be the Magi, whether it be the Druids, whatever the case may be, whatever the old religion is, whatever the priesthood was for that old religion, is fairly unique. It isn't something that we take for granted, and I think that it's an incredibly special call to do this. A lot of people ask me, can women be priests within the Druid Order of Blest, Stone, and Wood? And the answer is obviously yes. We have evidence that the priesthood consisted of men and women, yet at the same time, their roles were definitely distinct. They did have different, there were gender roles assigned, and those assignments was what created the beauty of their specific calling, right? So I would say that it's always interesting when you have maybe one female druid and 10 male druids, but it is one of those things that we treat very seriously, and there is no real answer for why we were called. To take you on a little tour, I would say that it starts usually when you are young. If you look back, and that's the reason why we don't accept anyone under 21 years old, because we want you to really kind of move past that 21-year-old age, and then we won't accept anybody until they're over the age of 21. But I still believe that especially today, I think we're still finding ourselves, and we're always finding ourselves, if you really want to put it that way. Should there be an age to it? What if a person at 18 is called? Well, there's plenty of other orders that will take people at any age, but we specifically don't take anybody until the age of 21. And you could always go to druidorder.org to take your application and fill it out and whatnot. But I want to say that it's really interesting, because it is key to know that when you look backwards in your life, when you go back in time and you look to see the times that you were shown the druids, it's almost as if they've been calling you your whole life. Now, some others, and it varies from person to person, others believe that they've been a druid because their parents were druids and their grandparents were druids and their parents and their great-grandparents were druids and this, that, the other. Either way, I do believe that the calling is always there, and you always have the option to answer that call. You don't necessarily have to answer a call, even if you are being called, because of your own free will, your own independence. And that independence rests in the hands of the druids as they understand you answering the call or not answering the call. And in quite some time, and I would even say in most recent years, as you begin to practice your religion, as you begin to practice your Druid, as you begin to practice within the Druidhood, you end up understanding how deep this actually goes back. I was talking to a Catholic priest tonight, and I said, you guys came from us, and he's like, no, we you were one of the sects, one of the heretics of the church, and that can't be so, because you can't be a heretic of something that doesn't exist, right? The old religions well predate Christianity. That's not to say anything bad about Christianity. I mean, I would never down another religion. The only religion we down is the religion without religion, the belief without belief, the piety with the dubiety, and that is atheism, which we stand firmly against. And no, an atheist cannot be a druid. But, what I do think is that, especially, at least in our order anyway, no, you cannot be an atheist and a druid at the same time. Because a druid, in the very sense, is someone who mediates between God and man. And if you don't believe in God, then your major calling, your major vocation is destroyed, and you mocked the Druids, the most holy ancient Druids of old, by doing that. But I want to say that in all honesty, not only being a Druid, but finding an order and finding a group of people that have similar thoughts is absolutely one of the best things that you can really look at and say, wow, this is truly a blessing. So Gita Awan to that. But if you really think about the Druids and you think about who they were and trying to pick up from where you left off, where they left off, I would say is not an easy task. And so when you're talking about neo-pagans that just go around and dance around a tree, it's not really Druidism. That's not how the Druids would have acted. And it's funny today how anybody could be a Druid, and it's like, and to an extent, sure, anybody could be a Druid, but it isn't in the ability to be one, it is in the calling to be one. And so we must understand and appreciate that. We must believe that this is something that is sacred, this is something that is holy, and this is something that is part of a very long trail, a very long path. And when we talk about that path of holiness, we learn that we are serpents upon that road to guide people along, to help them stay on the path. There are some that would say, the Druids came from this, the Druids came from that, and I do believe that the Druids came from a very sacrosanct and chosen group of people. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not part of the Druid order of Blest, Stone, and Wood, you're not part of that order. Of course not. We are one of many, many orders, right? And there's more and more conservative orders that are coming around the bend, and I'm very, very happy to see that. Because there's a lot of people that look and say, you know what, I was alone all this time. I thought that I was by myself all this time. I thought that, there wasn't anyone who thought like me. I find it interesting to know that, especially on my own path, I came from something so wildly radical. Me being a Marxist, a communist, a person who wanted big government, who now is completely and went back and swung back on that pendulum to see the other side. I think it's so important that until we see the other side, we're always going to see the same side. And so it was when I really became enlightened to say, let me leave this cult, this political cult, and move into a holy, if you will, cult that lasted for generations, millennia and millennia. And so I find it really beautiful to want to be a Druid, to feel called that this is what you are to do, because I think that in that we're really one that can say, this is definitely for me. Not everybody's called to be a Druid. Not everybody's called to be, a magus. Not everybody's called to be a Gauti. But we are called in some way, shape, or form. And just because you're not called to be a Druid, or more so, just because you're not called to be a Druid with the Druid order of Blest, B-L-E-S-T, Blest, Stone, and Wood, just because you're not called to that doesn't mean that your calling isn't there. It just might mean that you're not called to that specific order. And, you know, we deserve the best, all of us, every single one of us, no matter what. And if you know, the Druidhood, once you get in, this is why you have 4 years before you become a Druid. You have those 4 years because you are, you know, in that process of discernment. You're in that process of thought. You're in that process of, you know, aspiration even, you know. And it's like, where do I go? Where do I continue? Where do I win? And when you are in that winning mindset, you're able to see more clearly, you're able to hear more clearly, and you're able to kind of gauge more clearly what you are being called to do. Many do not enter into the priesthood because, you know, it's something that they just thought of overnight and said, you know, next day, yeah, I want to be a priest. Or that you are forced to be. No one is forced to do anything. No one is because if you're forced to do something, it's definitely going against your will. While your will and what you're forced to be doing could be one, it's not usually the case. Sometimes I wonder if people who are Druids are just doing it because, you know, it's kind of the in thing. And I get it, Druids are cool. But I also think, too, that, you know, it's something that's truly beautiful and truly sacred. And the magic that you're able to do once you get into the order and they start teaching you magic, you know, after you're on a path of 4 years of finding yourself, and then you begin to learn the magic behind things. I think that you become what you want to be. If you do not want to be something, if you do not want to be a Druid, if you do not want to be a magician, if you do not want to be a judge, if you do not want to be a teacher, if you don't want to be someone that is into, you know, alchemy or whatever the case is, there are so many other things you could do within the Druid priesthood that aren't even listed. I mean, most writers give 5 or 6 things that the Druids did and that's it. No. But if you go back to the old works, you will see that there were 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 20 different types of functions that the Druids performed other than just, you know, celebrate a ritual. So I think that, or celebrating, you know, different rites, you know, the imposition of ashes, or extreme unction, or you know, exorcism, if you will. But I think that if you really want it, you will find it. If you really want it, you will find it. And then, once you find it, once you go back in your past and you look and you say, well, here, and here were specific times on when I was called to be a Druid. I never answered the call. Now I am ready to answer that call. Then you go ahead and you answer that call. You answer the call, and then when you answer it, you still have to go back and ask permission. Say, do I have your blessing, O most holy, ancient Druids, for me to do this? And I think that, in the end, is really what it's about. Placing yourself at the feet of the Druids and saying, I want to be one of you. Because in essence you are. You're created to be part of the original order. And most founders of most organizations believe that their method, is the one that worked for them, and that's the reason why they believed in it so much that they opened it up and said, you know what, I want you to be part of this, and I want you to be part of this, and I want you to be part of this. So I think in the end, it really is about order. It's about the idea of being part of something that's so celebratory that you will be happy doing this. And while the Druid Circle has no priests, because the Druid Circle is the religious organization that houses the Druid Order of Blest, Blest, Stone and Wood at druidorder.org, I think it's something that you should really think about. And who knows, maybe in hearing this, you've seen this, you want to do more, you want to go further, then, ask, how do I go on? How do I join your religious order? Because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to turn you down at first. I'll always turn you down. And the reason why I turn you down isn't because I'm trying to kill the order. I'm turning you down because I want to make sure that there isn't something else out there for you before you come to us. That's the reason why. And when you come to us, be sure and know that you're going to work your ass off to do and be, because what I'm doing is I'm going through it first. You know what a sensei is? A sensei is the one who goes before, and that's basically what I'm doing. I'm going before you so I could see all the challenges that I have to face before I give them out to you. I wouldn't give you something to do. I wouldn't give you any personal work to do, which I still call homework, any personal work to do, to really, to really say, well, I'm just giving it for the sake of giving it. I'm giving it to you because I want you to see your own inner potential, and more so, how that potential, right? How that potential, grows exponentially as you get closer and closer to the God or gods of your understanding. One thing a Druid will never do is tell you who your gods are or who your god is. If a Druid tells you who your god or gods are, then they're not Druids. They're cultists. They're telling you what to believe. Now, obviously, within the religious order, you believe what the religious order believes, of course, because you want to be part of that, right? But at the same time, as far as your own personal spirituality is concerned, that's between you and you. No one has the right to tell you otherwise. Now, you have the right to be guided if you want. You have the right to do the things that are Druidish, if you will. But there's no real push for that. The only thing we ask as our order is to sort of agree with a good amount of what we agree with, and if that works for you, and that's why you go for through those first 4 years, because if it works for you, then you could go ahead and say, you know what, I agree with a lot of this stuff, and I want to go out there and start serving the most holy ancient Druids. In the end, it really is about the Druids. In the end, it is about the most holy ancient Druids of the Copper Age, the Iron Age, and the Copper Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. But that's who we are for. We are for them, and that's really what brings us home. So I hope this helped. I hope that you understand a little bit more about what this is all about. I hope that you understand that if you go to druidorder.org, not .com, that's the group that stole from us, druidorder.org, which is the Druid Order of Blest, B-L-E-S-T, Stone and Wood, I think then you'll be able to go ahead and apply. And if you applied years ago or whatever the case is and didn't hear from us, you'll hear from us when you hear from us. And we, like I said, we can't promise when, but you hear from us when you hear from us. And who knows? You may have applied back then years ago and then not heard, and now have something else in your life. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. Time is right when it is the time designated by them, by the most holy ones. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for supporting the Druid Circle, supporting the Druid Order of Blessed Stone and Wood, supporting the the university that we will have. We will have. And it will be the best university that you've ever been to in your life. It'll be a lifelong study program. There is no ending. It's always continuing. So you just keep on keeping on. One other thing that I want to say is, are there levels in our priesthood? And of course there are. The first 2 years are your postulancy, and your second 2 years are your aspirancy. Your postulancy is really what you would do before, and then your aspirancy is the part that says, I really want to be part of the order. Once you pass that and get through the discernment period, which is 4 years, and you go from 4th class Druid to 3rd class Druid to 2nd class Druid to 1st class Druid, then you enter into your degrees, which is every 4 years. Your 1st degree Druid, your 2nd degree Druid, your 3rd degree Druid, and your 4th degree Druid. You start off as a novitiate, then you move into your competency, then you move into your proficiency, and then you move into your officiancy, where you're an officiant of the divine office. And so I think that it is a beautiful thing. Again, the purpose of being a Druid and the purpose of being a member or part of the group of those who were originally the old religion and the practitioners of that is this. Each had their own method, and Druids have a method, okay? Much different from the Gothar, much different from the Magi, much different from the Brahmins, much different from all that, okay? There are definitely different beliefs, and I always tell people, if you really love trees, if you love trees, that's one of the ways you can really determine your call. If you feel a closeness to trees, if you feel a closeness to water, if you feel a closeness to fire, and if you feel a closeness to earth and air and those natural elements that generate the possibility of a tree. All of those 4 things come together to excite that tree. But yeah, give it a go, give it a try, and I promise that in due time you will be called. Have a good night, everyone. Whatever time of the day it is, make it great. And now comes time for your Druid blessing. Wherever you're at, whenever you're at, may the gods bless you. May the goddesses keep you. May the Fae shine their light upon you. and may your ancestors remain with you forever and ever. Girawin. Betshegobra. Est le mogui. Toshefir. Toshefir. Whatever time of day it is, make it great, everyone. Thanks for joining.